Hi, Gemini. Welcome to your May 2021 Astro Update. It's Rena here. Wow, you're the first sign that I'm doing. And when I was compiling the list of all the transits, it's like amazing that there are so many things going on in May. This is a month of eclipses when the eclipse season begins. And the eclipse will be in your opposite sign of Sagittarius. I will get to that in a little bit. But in addition to that, your ruler, Mercury, is retrograding at the end of the month. And we're also having a Saturn retrograde in a fellow air sign, Aquarius. As the month begins, Mercury is in your sign, and it goes into your sign. And so we have the sun in your 12th house. And, when the sun is in a person's 12th house, they may be more in the background. They may be more contemplative, less in the external world. I mean, you just might find, even if you're not just, being a total hermit, you may find that you're not as extroverted as you usually are. There's just something that keeps the person from promoting themselves because the sun is your light, and in the 12th house, it's kind of obscured. It's not front and center, but it's going to make its debut when the sun goes into your sign, and especially when you have your actual birthday or solar return. But Mercury, your ruler, goes into your own sign. So that is kind of like the opening of this this time for you to kind of make your new debut for the upcoming cycle. And you'll just find that you're able to be aligned with, representing yourself in the best way possible because Mercury will be in the first house, and the first house is yourself. And on the 8th, Venus goes into your sign. So this is more of attracting people to you, them feeling a certain sense of charisma from you, them finding you attractive. And that doesn't just have to be like physical. It can be just that special something that you are exuding that they find very irresistible. And in some cases, because this is in the first house, you may want to do something to change your look, or to improve your look, your physical appearance in some way. But in general, this can just mean that there is a certain attractive quality about you, and that can help you in all areas of life. Mars is in Cancer all month long, and Cancer is your second house of earned income. So this sense of urgency and this expenditure of energy in obtaining material resources can be especially prevalent at this time. You may be working overtime. You may be working an additional job. And this is not to say that you are feeling burdened by this. You may willingly take this on because you desire it. On the 11th, there is a new moon at 21 degrees of Taurus. Because Taurus is a sign before you, this is going to fall in the 12th house. And this is going to be a new beginning in the area of your spiritual nature and things that are, in the unseen world. It certainly would be a great time to sign up for yoga or something along those lines, a meditation course that you've always wanted to take. And that can even include some kind of training for a future profession or skill that you want to gain that has a spiritual angle to it. I also think that it's a great time to kind of plan for your solar return. And I think I heard an astrologer talk in a similar way about this, because I was thinking that, you know how they say when it's your birthday that you should set intentions, or when the sun is in the first house. If you're listening for Gemini rising, you know, this isn't your birthday, but in a way it is, because you have Gemini rising, so you have at least some Gemini in the first house, and that's a whole new cycle when planets start to cross over into that first house. And so because I have heard that the 12th house is like the womb, and then you have the first house, which is the physical self, you know, it makes sense that you would kind of like plan out what you want to manifest a month before you actually have a new moon in that first house. So, you know, that's another thing that you could do, is kind of like write down some of your goals for the coming year. On the 13th, Jupiter goes into Pisces, which is really wild. I don't know. You know, it's going to go back into Aquarius, though. So it's only going to stay here for a few months. But still, I mean, it just seems like it was just in Aquarius. Now it's in Pisces. So I don't know if I've done a video for Gemini yet, but I'm going to be doing extended videos for each sign, sun and rising for each, you know, sun and rising sign. So that would include Gemini sun and rising, about how it's going to affect you. This is actually going to be in your 10th house of career. So, I mean, right now, as I record this, you have both Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius in your 9th house. And this is a house that is connected with foreign travel, religious studies, academic studies, and so on and so forth. And we could just say religious matters in general. And so that means that Jupiter is going to leave that house, and on the 13th, go into the 10th house of career. Well, that means that Saturn is going to stay behind in the 9th house. What this could mean, because Saturn is in that 9th house, is that some Gemini people may be experiencing something where if you have had some kind of spiritual awakening, and this could be in the last dozen years, because you've had Pluto in the 8th house for years. And the 8th house is one of those water houses, but I would say it's one of the top spiritual houses, specifically for metaphysical pursuits and the occult, like astrology and the tarot. And so Pluto is very, I would say, very good at wanting to do something in depth, is obsessed with that. And you know, this is a healer type of energy in the 8th. Now in the 9th, to have Saturn, it's really like, you know, pretty, to me, methodical. So if someone is interested in any kind of career that involves religious pursuits, Saturn in the 9th wants to do it methodically. So get that certificate, not just be self-taught, but do it in a traditional or like a conventional sort of way to get those certifications, that, you know, that piece of paper, whatever it is. because the credentials, I don't know if I said certification, but credentials. So, it might be becoming a yoga teacher or something like that. Well, Jupiter going into your 10th house in Pisces can be that, Jupiter is the ruler of the 9th house. So it has that connection to the God energy. And it could be influencing the type of career that you have. But Jupiter in the 10th can even mean traveling with career. And of course, if you do become a yoga teacher, that you can certainly do that and can teach from exotic locations, but also just in general freedom. Maybe, in the past you've had the type of jobs where you were tied to a desk or something like that. That certainly is not the ideal for the typical Gemini person. On the 20th, the sun goes into your sign. So this is the overall solar return, but the official one will be on your particular birthday, or you could even say the date that the sun or the rising sign is at the exact degree of your sun or rising. And that may, not be on your exact birthday. It might be a day before, a day afterwards, or something like that. So the sun in your first house, revitalizing, energizing, just feeling like yourself again. On the 23rd, Saturn goes retrograde. And this is really, by the way, this is a tale of 2 months. I should say a tale of 2 parts of the month, because the first half of the month, I would say, is going to be more of a green light. And then Mercury goes into its shadow period, and you might start to see more of those snafus develop. But also, because Saturn goes retrograde on the 23rd in Aquarius, so we're talking about that 9th house. Saturn retrograding in the 9th house can actually lead to some kind of delays with some journey. And that can feel very frustrating, especially because of the shutdown. You may feel like you just when you're going to do something, travel overseas, you've been thwarted. Understand that, Saturn will not be here forever. That's not really much of a consolation. If what if it's, I don't know how long it's there. I think it's until September, October or something. So it might as well be forever, right? If it's that long. But no, seriously, the 9th house matters, that you might be dealing with can involve publishing too, or religion, as I said, like for instance, even getting more training. Maybe you think, an example, if I use that yoga teacher example, they have like different amount of hours, like 200 hours or 500, and you might have gotten the lesser amount, and then you're looking around and all these studios are requiring, that you get the advanced amount of hours. So you have to go back for more or something like that. So it's not the end of the world. And the key is that even if there's a delay, is to treat it like you need to make whatever your goals are in this area more sound, and to take it seriously, whatever it is. But understand that it may be very hard to make it happen at this time, and so you have to be patient with your goals. So, okay, so that's happening. And then on the 26th, we're having a lunar eclipse at 5 degrees of Sag. So there's that opposite sign. You're going to have a solar eclipse in June. And this is going to affect the opposite house, the 7th house of committed partnership. Now, this will not be true for everyone. For people with rising signs that are beyond 5 degrees, this is actually going to fall in your 6th house of work. And so there could be major shifts in the work front. Doesn't mean that you're going to get fired, but you might move into a different department, or maybe you get like a major promotion where you thought you were going to, go one step above and you become the supervisor or something like that. You leapfrog over everyone else. If it's going to affect your relationship sector, the 7th house, this can be something where there's a major change in your relationship. So remember that a lunar eclipse is a powerful full moon, and that means that the sun is in opposition from the opposite house. So the sun is in the 1st house, and the moon is in the 7th, and the sun is in your sign. So what this means is that your identity is you're standing in who you are, and you're gaining more information about the relationship, how you relate with that person. And you may find that you haven't been honoring yourself. In some cases, this can simply be about your feelings towards that person, and it may lead to marriage or the equivalent type of a commitment. For some people that are already in that committed partnership, they may have gone as far as they can go. Even with a full moon, it's like this idea of reaching the apex or the zenith and the fullness of the situation, and it's like it's time to move on. And I know that I did get somebody once when I said something similar, about the 6th house of work, and I said something, either you might get a promotion or you might lose your job or something like that. And they were like, they couldn't wrap their brain that it could be those two extremes. But there is that sense of the polarity even with the eclipse itself, because the sun and moon are engaged, but then within the own house of how it can manifest. Yes, it can be totally different for different Geminis, how this is going to play out for you. But certainly something maybe at a crisis point, something's got to give. And so that can just be, we can just say in general that eclipses can definitely bring things to light. And the thing is that if you have a good relationship right now with a person that you're dealing with, then it's not going to just ruin that relationship. And if you don't have a good relationship, then, it's not a bad thing to see that the relationship is, not serving you. That's not a bad thing. So I think that either way, you're going to, do just fine. And on the 29th, your ruler, Mercury, goes retrograde at 24 degrees of Gemini. In the 1st house, you're going to be rethinking something about your life in general, or if this is about how you carry yourself, how you conduct yourself. And who knows, maybe this has something to do with your relationship because of that lunar eclipse. What if your partner says to you, I never see you. You're, because you have Mars in the second house all month and you're working overtime. And they say, I'm really missing this companionship, And then you think about it and you say, you know what? I really have to slow down. I have to make more time for my partner. And so that's the thing that you're kind of rethinking about yourself and how you tend to be. Gemini, Mercury, Quicksilver, you see that connection? Very slippery, hard to contain. And that's part of your nature. But in relationships, it can be hard for another person because they may feel like you're hard to pin down. So making yourself available to the people that you love, especially your significant other, may really come up in May during this eclipse season. Okay, that's what I have for you, Gemini. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you would like a more in-depth reading, not just for transits, but for your chart itself, which is always very interesting and a source of self-discovery, I have a double reading that I've been promoting because it is a special price, and it does go much more into depth about the transits that are affecting you specifically with your specific natal chart, and also with the analysis of the chart itself. So the link is below for that. Thank you for listening. Take care. Bye.